Halo has created a universe spanning hundreds of thousands of years. With the announcement of Halo Infinite, instead of being dumbfounded at all these characters like who's this guy and was this, we'll be recapping the overarching Halo journey from start to finish. My name is Token, and you're watching a recap of everything you need to know about the Halo universe so far. It all begins over 100,000 years ago, a time where things were simple and ancient humanity was spacefaring. Ancient humanity's expansion throughout the Milky Way was profound, but there was a parasite issue. A parasite that survives through the consumption and assimilation of entire civilizations. And they were known as the Flood. Nothing too bad then, thought the humans. We'll just start running as fast as we can in that direction. So while fleeing, humanity arrived at a planet belonging to a race known as the Forerunners. The Flood was already on that planet. The humans, finding there was no other option, and likely having new shiny warheads to test out, decided that only way to stop them would be to annihilate this planet. This act of kindness was mistaken as aggression by the Forerunners, especially by the Didact, who was the supreme commander of the Forerunner military, and he was evil because he had a British accent. He believed the humans unworthy of obtaining the mantle of responsibility. This is the obligation of the most evolved life forms to act as caretakers of lesser life. Ironically, it is said the Forerunners themselves stole the mantle from their own caretakers, the Precursors, by simply wiping them out. And they did this out of jealousy, because the Precursors wished to pass the mantle down to humanity. As a result, the Human Forerunner War began and lasted around 50 years, and also killed all of the Didact's children, so he was left a little bit bitter. The humans lost the war, and it wasn't until then that the Forerunners discovered the real reason for humanity's aggression. They were trying to stop the spread of the Flood, but it was too late. As punishment, the humans were forced by the Forerunners to start again on a planet that would eventually become known as Earth. Humans were regressed to tribal communities, building with wood and listening to Justin Bieber from 2010, but mostly the first thing. The Didact and his Prometheans, his most respected warrior servants, found this punishment just. To protect the galaxy against the Flood, he proposed to create a significant number of shield worlds to monitor and curb its growth. This idea was rejected, and instead they decided to build superweapons capable of wiping out the entire galaxy. This was known as the Halo Array. He was ordered to dismantle his shield worlds, but he refused. Instead, he stole the Composer, a device that would transfer organic consciousness into mechanical shells. In his own effort against the Flood, he converted his Promethean warriors into a synthetic army immune to the Flood. However, his army was looking a bit thin at this point, so he thought, why not? Let's convert entire human communities and chuck him into the army. Now the council didn't much like this, so they forced him into imprisonment on one of his own shield worlds known as Requiem, and this was at the hands of his own wife, the Librarian. She had been pro-superweapon, as she wanted to preserve life for later distribution, rather than turning them into a mindless machine army. As the Flood grew more intelligent, the Forerunners created a highly powerful artificial intelligence known as Mendicant Bias. He was great at setting timers, shuffling your dance playlists, and leading all the defense efforts against the Flood. They decided to use this AI to test a Halo ring on the homeworld of an alien race known as the San Shum. And it worked great! They all died. While having a conversation with the Flood's Gravemind, an entity that exists as the Flood's intelligence, Mendicant Bias decided it no longer wanted to play music on shuffle for the Forerunners, instead wanted to start killing them. The fight against the Flood became hopeless, with the Gravemind and Mendicant Bias mounting a large assault against the Forerunners. 7 rings were constructed by the newly created Installation 00, the Lesser Ark. These were the final rings, forming the ultimate death machine. Killing the Flood's food was the only way to stop them. Before activation, humanity, along with all the other species, were stored in the Ark, and slip space portals were placed on their homeworlds. The rings were activated, and boy did they do a great job. Everything was very, very dead. Fortunately, the slip space portals worked. Humanity was transported to Africa, and by the 2500s, humanity had once again spread out across the galaxy. But only the remnants of the Forerunners' civilization exist. Humanity entered an era of political unrest, with the outer colonies feeling there was an uneven distribution of wealth, with them supplying almost all of the resources for the inner colonies. So they devised a solution. They became known as the insurrectionists, committing acts of terrorism while fighting wars of attrition with the UNSC, the military arm of the government. In the interest of killing insurrectionists more effectively, Dr. Catherine Halsey, an Office of Naval Intelligence scientist, created a program known as the Spartan 2 Project. Since money was tight, she thought, why not just kidnap children, put them through brutal military exercises and experimental augmentation surgeries and call it a day. Why not? And so, in 2517, the project began. Children were taken from their homes and their schools and were replaced by clones. Clones that would quickly die, erasing the real children from existence. Many of the subjects died in the grueling processes, but those who survived became stronger and quicker than thought possible. One Spartan proved himself to be one of the best and was made the leader of his own fire team, known as Blue Team. His name was John 117, and he would become a highly decorated veteran for his actions against the insurrectionists. But then humanity found out they were not alone in the universe. This attack began the Human Covenant War. The Covenant had been destroying the outer colonies one by one, starting with Harvest, turning their surface into glass using plasma. During the final days of Harvest, the UNSC Spirit of Fire defended the planet under the command of Captain James Cutter. The Covenant had managed to uncover a Forerunner relic on the planet that acted as a map room detailing the locations of other Forerunner artifacts. Using this information, the Covenant were pointed to a second human colony, Arcadia. Following them, the Spirit of Fire's crew found that the planet's defenses had already been destroyed, with the Covenant discovering more Forerunner ruins. As Professor Ellen Anders, a researcher on the Spirit of Fire, begins documenting the area, she is kidnapped by the Arbiter, a rank in the Covenant that is bestowed upon those who are shamed, so they may regain their honor from death in battle. With Anders, the Covenant wanted to use her to activate a Forerunner dreadnought, as they had found that only humans could activate Forerunner technology. The Spirit of Fire follows them closely, eventually emerging over the shield world, Etran Harborage. Here, Anders manages to escape back to the Spirit of Fire, but not before encountering the Flood, who despite the Halo Array managed to still exist. Removing their slipspace drive and planting it on the shield world's inner sun, they sent it into supernova, destroying the installation along with the Covenant fleet. Had the Covenant utilized this shield world's technology, the Covenant would have sent humanity into extinction. However, without a slipspace drive, the Spirit of Fire would be unable to return to human space, as traveling below light speed meant they could have been thousands of years away from home. As the ship begins the long journey home, her crew enter cryosleep, not knowing when or where they would be waking up. And in 2534, the UNSC declared the ship lost with all hands. As a result, humanity had no idea of the existence of the Flood. As the war progressed, a new Spartan program was underway. Rather than kidnapping children, they could now make discount Spartans, known as the Spartan 3s. Meet this Spartan right here, Noble 6. We don't know their name because they're you. Together with Carter, Kat, Emil, June, and George, who's bigger because he's a Spartan too, they make up Noble Team. Come 2552, Noble Team were sent to the planet Reach with the understanding of there being a possible insurrectionist conflict. Though upon arriving, they realized that these aren't insurrectionists. These aren't people. Reach had been invaded by the Covenant. Noble Team were called to defend Oni's sword base, where Dr. Halsey was working. An item Kat looted from one of Halsey's scientists contained a plot device important for destroying the Covenant, or something else, who knows? She knows. Noble assisted with the defense efforts against the invading Covenant, but it became clear the planet was doomed to be glassed. At Sword Base, Halsey instructs Noble 6 to deliver a fragment of an AI known as Cortana to the Pillar of Autumn to escape the planet. June escorted Halsey in her evacuation, while the rest of Noble Team are killed in action. The Pillar of Autumn escaped and made a blind slipspace jump to escape the Covenant, only to accidentally stumble across a Halo ring world, Installation 04. John 117, the Master Chief, who was on board the Pillar of Autumn, was awoken and ordered to protect Cortana. So who cares about the rest of the crew? John Rand didn't stop until he was the sole survivor of a crashed escape pod. Chief was now stranded on the mysterious ring world, while the Pillar of Autumn was manually, landed. With the help of Cortana's instructions, Chief arrives at the ring's control room to identify Captain Key's last location. Though once they arrive there, there's no keys in sight. And what's that unusual sound? Oh no, it's the Flood. The Flood had been stored on the Halo ring in a dormant state, and were made considerably less dormant by the Covenant, who had been poking around because they thought the ring was some kind of religious symbol that would propel them into paradise. But oh, were they wrong. 343 Guilty Spark, the AI monitor of this Halo ring, was prompted to activate his installation. Like with Professor Anders on the Shield World, only a human could do so. So Guilty Spark teleports the Master Chief and instructs him to retrieve the activation index from Hell itself, the library. The Chief, ignoring the whole Reclaimer thing and under the impression that the ring could be used as a weapon against the Covenant, happily obtains it. And just as the Chief was inadvertently about to kill all life in a 25,000 light-year radius, Cortana realizes the true purpose of Halo. Now 343 Guilty Spark doesn't much like the Chief's apprehension, and Cortana doesn't much like the Spark's tone, so the Chief gets the hell out of there. Cortana instructs the Chief to detonate the Autumn's fusion reactor so that the ring may be destroyed. However, to operate the Autumn, they had to locate Captain Key's neural implant. Unfortunately, he had already succumbed to the Flood and was on his merry way to becoming a proto-Gravemind. Chief had no time for this nonsense, and with the implant in hand, Chief flew to the Pillar of Autumn's crash site and fought his way to the reactor. Guilty Spark attempted, and failed, to stop him, and with a well-placed grenade or 20, the Autumn's engine was set to overload. Chief and Cortana escaped on a warthog along the roof of the Autumn. He reaches a longsword where he makes his escape. In the distance, Halo, and everyone on it, was completely destroyed.